Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, and the time is 3:01 p.m. We will start with, well, first of all, Mr. Ruger, are there any, no, we'll start with comments from the board members. Commissioner Lambert?
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Baduzzi?
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Warren?
No comments.
Commissioner Fox?
No comments, thank you.
Mr. Ruger, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Item 7.2, they have requested that the item be moved to the October agenda.
Do we need a motion for that?
No, they're just, I don't believe we need a motion. It's just going to be continued as they prepare for that presentation.
All right, very good. Are there any cards for comments from the public? There are cards?
No,
Where are the cards?
Not for general.
Not for general comment? Okay, very good. I will now entertain consideration of consent calendar, items 6.1 through...
Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar of 6.1 through 6.5.
Very good. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now to item 7.1. Resolution number 24-39, authorizing the sale and conveyance of real property located at 630 7th Street to Rohi's Readery LLC for a purchase price of $223,300 and approving a CRA grant in the amount of $44,000 to Rohi's Readery LLC for property improvement.
Good evening, Mayor. Chris Rugg, Executive Director of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. The project manager, Gina Baker, is currently out for this presentation, so I will be spearheading it, and then we also have Pranu from Rohi's Readery here, who will be talking a little bit more about the activation of the structure. And I'm pleasantly surprised. This is very exciting. This was, if the board remembers, this is when one of the businesses that was selected the last time we did the notice of disposition, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But what's really great, and Purdue, I didn't prepare you that I was going to say this, but she has really just really started embracing the community and has attended a lot of the public gatherings. And you may have seen her at Barbecue Blues and Brews and also some of the business meetings. So she's really kind of gone above and beyond to really reach out to folks in the neighborhood. So it's been off with a bang, to say the least. So I'll do a quick overview of the Sticks project. Many of you are familiar with it, but just in case, we'll just do a quick recap. We'll talk about Resolution 24-39, which outlines the purchase and sale agreement, some of those terms. Then I'll turn it over to Purnell, who will talk in more detail about her plans for activation of the structure. If you recall, when the businesses were selected at the notice of disposition selection process, we were going to bring back the purchase and sale agreement where those businesses were going to talk more detail about their business plans. So she is prepared for that. And then happy to take any questions that the board has at that time. So as a quick overview, the Sticks is a major part of the historic Northwest, which is very close to and within downtown West Palm Beach. It's nestled between North Sapodilla Avenue and Rosemary Avenue, just south of Heart and Soul Park and the project of the Sunset Lounge. The two parcels that are highlighted here, those were the two that were outlined in the notice of disposition, because we did not have businesses selected for those at that time. So this concept began back in 2017 when we had the properties acquired and started the construction of the project. And the Sticks settlement is named after the settlement that was in Palm Beach many years ago, which was once a thriving black neighborhood. And the promenade is comprised of 5 properties, 4 of which have the 2 buildings on it, like the picture is shown here. And then the last parcel has a recently refurbished historic structure, which is about the size of just one. It's much smaller in square footage, but still important nonetheless. And all of these were to be used for small businesses to anchor them in the historic Northwest and where they would actually own their brick and mortar structures. Currently, we have 3 businesses that we're working with as part of the Sticks project. Camille's Flower Shop, which opened up during the Barbecue Blues and Brews Fest. Eaton Cakes, which is finishing out his build out. Greg Eaton's eager to get started. And then Craig Glover, who's actually with us this evening with Better Home Healthcare, is currently up and running at the Sticks Promenade. So great start to the project. So the final notice of disposition for those 2 structures, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it was actually last December is when it closed. We had that selection earlier this year where we had I believe it was about 8 businesses and selected 2, Rohi's Readery and Serene Beauty. So Rohi's is here with us tonight. And during the time since the selection did occur, we have been negotiating the purchase and sale agreement with Rohi's and for the ownership, which is the Lot 8. And I have to give a quick shout out to Queen of Sheba. They are right next door to this, which adds to the overall feel of the Sticks Promenade. They're one of our local James Beard nominees, so if you get a chance, definitely stop by. It's a great restaurant. So Resolution 24-39 authorizes the sale and conveyance of property for that Lot 8 parcel. And the proper address for it is 637th Street. It's $223,000. There is already a deposit in place that was part of the negotiation that we went through. And the use is going to be great. A thriving bookstore with a learning center and also just general way to activate the community right there in the historic Northwest. In addition to the purchase and sale agreement, like the other projects and businesses that we've been working with, there is a $44,000 grant that's going to go directly into the improvements of the buildings that are located at 637th Street, 180 days closing, and then of course the business does need to stay in place for 5 years in order to take advantage of all of these incentives and grants. So with that, I would like to bring up Mayor. I would like to have Purnu come up and present her business plan for the parcel.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Purnu Kumar once again, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share more about the vision for Rohi's Readery and Rohi's Liberation Station. So just a quick breakdown of what we'll be talking about today. Before I even go into that, though, I wanted to show an image of Dr. Alice Mickens' house. That space has been deeply an inspiration for me and learning more about the history of the community and those that have come before us in the community and what she represented. So I wanted to share that because I constantly think about her work. I'll go into our first event in the historic Northwest District, how we were able to really engage with the community. The vision for Rohi's Readery as well as Rohi's Liberation Station, what our future programming looks like, our current projection numbers, thinking about the business, as well as a new initiative that we've been working on to gain revenue, and then our projections, and then a little bit about my background and why I feel grateful and also aligned for the opportunity to open in this area. So the first event that we held in the Northwest District was earlier this June. It was actually part of the barbecue event, and it was It actually came about while attending one of the Northwest District meetings and asking if there was a kids' corner in the area or if they had done that in previous years. And Ansley was very kind and open to hearing the ideas of the space as well as Chris. So we quickly curated an entire space, but really thought about community investment. So here are a few stats of what actually happened that day. We hosted an event from 4 to 9 p.m. We did an inaugural Kids Corner named after Dr. Alice Mickens, reason being because we wanted people not only to understand those, especially those who are coming from out of the Northwest District, the accomplishments of incredible people in the community, but also give people an opportunity to also take the information and learn and share it with the rest of Palm Beach County. So a number of things. The entire Kids Corner was actually made up of in-kind donations and resources. So we were able to host multiple workshops, community org pop-ups. We were able to donate $500 worth of books due to the Book, Art, and Music Festival, which I'm currently on the board of, books donated by Rohi's Readery, books donated by the Literacy Coalition of Palm Beach County, as well as Resource Depot. They have been incredible partners over the past 3 years. And then the Mendel Library, that was actually a really big hit. Kids were creating magnets and buttons and really feeling a connection to the literacy piece. One thing that I did want to sort of bring attention to is this really beautiful experience of, even though it was a kids' corner, we had so many adults sitting there because we had games and board games and activities. And so you really saw this multi-generational experience. And we had actually a few kids asking if we would be there every weekend. And I said, fingers crossed, soon enough. So it was a really beautiful event. And it was also an opportunity for me to gain more insight as to what the children want for their community. So the vision of this space, which we are so grateful to have. So this is obviously the outside of the space. And so you can see we've been incredibly intentional in every single piece of this space. So from the courtyard in the front being a welcoming space and also a potential rental space, which I'll talk about more later, to having fixed seating for anyone, all ages, to come sit. And then you can see the garden beds there as well. I was at the Be Well Rally for Youth event around mental health last Thursday, and one of the biggest things that our youth, especially our teens, were saying was that they didn't have enough gardening spaces. They wanted to be outdoors and in the gardening space. So I've been working with FAMU Co-op Extension and the Office of Sustainability around building garden beds and vegetable beds so that children and families can come and obtain fresh fruits, vegetables. We also know, after talking with Dr. Wynn, I've been having really wonderful conversations with her. The closest grocery store is Publix. So where are the fresh fruit, veggies, and things that can be easily accessible? And then it's also an opportunity for our teens and youth who've asked for this to have investment and ownership and also lead in workshops as well. Then you can see the retail space, so the new space. And what I'm excited about is that this is just another opportunity for us to promote the mission of honoring historically marginalized communities through the love of literacy. This will serve as the for-profit space. So we have been very intentional about making sure that everything's movable, because once again, another form of revenue is through the rental space of this area. So you can see all of the shelving is actually going to be movable. We'll have benches. The windows will be able to be open to be ADA compliant. And I've been going into the space just to measure out what it looks for ADA compliancy as well. We also have our storytelling stage, but really we want this to continue to live and breathe what people have always known about the Readery. You can also see the mural that will be placed up above. That was completely made by recent high school graduates in our local community. And then we have the flex space, and this is really exciting because now we'll have an intentional area where we can continue our free educational programming. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our 7 intentional programs that will now go under our nonprofit. But what's really exciting about this is that we don't have to keep moving books back and forth. It just takes up a lot of time and energy. Now we have a designated space, and once again, another form of revenue, which I'll share later with the rental plan. We also have our rotating art space because we've developed really great partners with youth and adult artists who are willing to put their art up and make it a rotating gallery space. And then a portion of the proceeds will go back into the Liberation Station, our nonprofit. Like I said, we'll also are actually going to be building a high top area as well, so that for our events, whether they're for adults or for children, there's also another opportunity for people to rent that space out for their small businesses, and also just showcase the work that we're doing. You can see the intentionality also of the motorized window shades. We're intentionally creating those and working with someone in the inclusive space to make sure it's neurosensory friendly for our neurodivergent community and making it soft light when necessary. So the vision, so now sort of breaking it down more by the business plan. So as you can see, we have Roey's Readery, which is the bookstore, the curriculum that I have been writing over the years, my education consulting, which from 2023 to 2024, we've already seen a 300% increase. We currently have consulting opportunities, contracts with the Mind Institute, which is in Indianapolis, which has the #1 children's museum in the country and is devoted to activism and advocacy. We have developed a partnership with the Green School, the school district, as well as Coral Gables. So you can see our reach is going far and wide, and we've also been able to gain attraction for people coming to the Northwest District too. Also keynote speakings. So recently was able to do a keynote speaking in Atlanta, and then also at the Convention Center in Palm Beach County, and have been talking with Discover the Palm Beaches about doing keynote speakings where people can actually come to the Northwest District and have their happy hour or some sort of like a gathering for the adults as well. And then of course the rental space, which I'll speak more about. What's exciting now is that you'll see Rohi's Liberation Station is now our nonprofit. Previously, from the numbers, you could see that our free educational programming, our expenses, a lot of it, and our free book donations was coming from the for-profit, but now with the nonprofit, we have an allocated fund specifically for that. I'll share a little bit more about the interest that we've garnered as well. We have multiple programs. We have our early childhood education reading program. That's something that we've actually listened to while going to the Northwest Business Alliance meetings and hearing the need for early childhood reading readiness. And so that's called our Rise and Read program. We have our high school internship program. So that is called our Changemaker internship program, and that is a paid stipend internship. Over the past 3 years, we've had 11 interns hosting over 30 events. 100% of our high school interns are from marginalized communities, and they've actually garnered over 1,100 hours collectively. 3 of our high schoolers actually just in this past year received scholarships from local organizations that they partnered with through the Readery, and every single one of our interns have gone on to secondary education. We then have our monthly programming. So our monthly programming includes our Reading and Leading program, which is our project-based learning program. We also have our Heal Together, Lead Together program, which is specifically for our educators and caregivers who are looking to advocate for their community. And then we also have another one, our Bridging Revolutionaries program. And so that's our multi-generational approach, because we also know that our elders in the community have such impact in the influence of our children and youth, and we know that there are so many beautiful stories coming from the Northwest District and beyond. We then have our book donations program, which is called Liberating Pages. And then we recently acquired full access from Palm Tran through a donation for a bookmobile. And that is called our Traveling Liberation Station, Our Journey to Justice. The great thing about our bookmobile is, once again, we've listened to the needs of our community, and what we've heard is that transportation is a barrier when being able to tie authentic literacy experiences. So we're actually working on making that a hybrid bookmobile, but also a transportation opportunity, so that if we're learning something in the readery, then we're going to the science center right after, or we're going wherever it is that will connect the learning in an authentic way. So here is an example of what our future programming looks like when taken into account the wants of the community. I did speak with Dr. Nguyen recently, and also Chris and Ms. Baker about doing another survey, but actually doing it specifically for the children during our Northwest quarterly meeting. But here you can see the type of programming that we will continue to do if the community wants. You can see that we have 3 large pillars: our community social well-being and storytelling, early childhood reading readiness, and then our big piece is also in the community. So how can we continue to do what we're doing, but also ensure that people are coming to the Northwest District? We've also secured already 3 rental contracts pending the closure. One is through a micro school, Another is through a neurodivergent chorus and theater program, and then of course Rohi's Liberation Station. And so our goal is to continue securing those contracts for rental space. We've also secured tentative dates with the Cultural Council, with Discover the Palm Beaches, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but my notes are here. With the Cultural Council, United Way, actually, For Freedoms, which is based out of DC, but they're actually going to be partnering with us in December through New Wave Artists, and Compass Center, the LGBTQ Center, to rent space for tentative dates. So we really believe it's a mutual benefit in making sure that we're all learning about the richness of each contribution of each community. So here's a breakdown of the rental space. This is, like I said, another opportunity for revenue income. And you can see that we've really thought intentionally about the room, the space, flex space, the retail space, the covered outdoor space, the courtyard space, what it might include, and really on a sliding scale based on for-profit and nonprofit. And the goal is that we are being incredibly, as much as possible, equitable for small businesses. For someone like me, who took a chance and tried opening a small business, I'm very grateful for that opportunity, but I also know that for women in business, there's only, I believe, 1.9% of all venture capital going to women, and then women of color is only 0.39%. So if we can provide opportunities, whether it is coming and trying and testing out a pilot, or starting a business and renting out a space for 2 hours or 4 hours, or doing a consistent event if you decide the first time works, that's what we want to do, and we want to provide and really level the equitable playing field for people, whether you're a youth entrepreneur or you're someone who wants to do a side hustle as well. So as you can see, these were our numbers for the past 3 years. As you can see, from 2022 to 2023, we did go down a little bit. Like I said before, we had a temporary contracted employer, and at that time, so we were trying something new so that I didn't have to work 7 days a week inside of the readery. But what we also found is that we had a lot of interns and high schoolers and college students. So we thought, how can we actually create an opportunity where we can get consistent funding, people are invested in our youth, and we can also allow our youth to have that choice. Once again, that was a big piece from the Be Well Youth Rally. Students were saying that they felt that they had a lack of choice in their everyday experiences, whether at school or outside. So we started the Changemaker High School internship program. As you can see, then we have our revenue projections. We right now are 70% toward our projection with 3 months, September, October, November, 4 months, sorry. 4 months left. And as you can also see, that is 70% of the way with not having a location. You may have heard that we had to close in City Place recently, and so we've actually been over a month and a half without a space, but that hasn't stopped us from doing the work. We've done pop-ups around the community, we've done consulting around the state, and we've also done some workshops in the community as well to keep the momentum going and allow people to understand what we're doing and how it makes impact. But what you can see is that in 2024, this year, our nonprofit in less than 6 months has been able to raise, and that's actually as of the end of July, beginning of August, so it is more. We have raised over $74,000 toward our nonprofit. So we expect our revenue numbers to actually shift because the expenses, because now our expenses will be going toward the nonprofit. And so being able to pay for the materials, the contracted people through our reading and leading program. And I also just want to thank Alex, who is here and is one of our board members for Liberation Station, because she has also been very instrumental in the work and support. So what you see right there is just a group of people who have been really dedicated to this work as well. So before sort of our closing, I just wanted to share a couple of things just about my background in this work. Like I said, I'm a career changer from medicine to education. I have taught in the South Bronx, in Harlem, opened a school in a refugee community in Seattle, and over the past almost 15 years in education, have worked in spaces where I've really been committed to literacy learning. We've gone from spaces where it has been less than 5% of a literacy passing rate to 100% literacy passing rate. We've gone from places where, and this is because of family community investment, and then just facilitating that with identity-driven learning. We've also been able to I have also been able to work in pre-K, multilingual spaces. I've been able to work in college spaces, and in every single space that I've worked in, we've had top 1% in math, ELA, and science. So I really feel dedicated to this work, not only identity-driven learning, but overall the educational wellness of our community, young and old. And so I'll leave you with this. Once again, Dr. Alice Mickens, the ambassador of interracial goodwill in 20th century. She was dubbed the 20th century fairy godmother. She was someone who advocated for quality education and cared for all. And so my hope is that the Readery and Liberation Station will serve as a space that no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, no matter what age you are, if you want to read, if you want to just come and breathe and be, that this will be a place for you. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation and for all the good work that you do. Board members, any questions, comments? Commissioner Lambert?
That was powerful. Thank you so much. And especially hearing about Dr. Alice Mickens and the work she did. I'm sorry I never got the chance to meet her, but I can imagine from the stories I've heard, she would be very proud of the city and of the work that you're doing for us to be able to work together to bring something like this to our families and to our residents. I'm most impressed with so many things, but some of the things that I took note on were your partnerships, and I think that that's essential for success. And I tried to write down as you were rattling off, but with FAMU, with our own Department of Sustainability, the Mandel Library, Compass, Cultural Council, New Wave, interns, it sounds like you are being extremely creative and innovative. As well as I really appreciate your intentionality of the space and really thinking about how you can use it. And I'm sure once you get in there that you'll find other ways and new ways as well, but it really seems like you have put a lot of thought into that. I have one question, but it's more for staff, for Mr. Roog. I love the creativity regarding the rental space. I've been to some small spaces throughout our city and in other parts of the county where small spaces like this do create opportunity for young entrepreneurs, for female, for others who are just starting off. Do we have the infrastructure and parking and things like that if we already use this space for events like that there? I just want to make sure that we're set up for something like that.
Yes, we have a pretty detailed parking plan for kind of the entire area, but the Styx Promenade has its own parking amenities associated with it, as well as the on-street parking that is in and around the Styx Promenade, even going down to where Heart and Soul Park is. So, and then if it is wildly successful, which we believe it will be, there's other parking amenities. There's a garage that's nearby where we could run a shuttle to and from. So I think that the parking infrastructure in the neighborhood is adequate for the space if there is a big rental of some kind. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great, thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to express my support and to say that I appreciate your approach, and even the name Liberation Station, and just thinking of what liberation means and the freedom of thought, and to encourage these young minds to be open and innovative and free in thought is extraordinary. It's what this community has needed, and I am very happy to see that this is coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
I'm very happy to see this coming too. I have been such a fan of yours in City Place. I live right around the corner from where your store was, and my nieces loved it. And I would always see you out on the courtyard having different events, and I thought it was just an amazing way to bring the community to City Place and such a draw. And I have no doubt that you will be able to do the same thing in the historic Northwest. I really appreciate you mentioning also the transportation and the idea of having a bookmobile. And one of the things I've been most excited about is that people in the neighborhood won't need transportation to get there, that this is going to be an opportunity for kids from the neighborhood to go and see books that are about them, and to have their own bookstore that's just in the neighborhood within walking distance. I think that is going to go a long way for just having early and young learners starting out, on such a good foot to have their neighborhood bookstore and all the community efforts that you're putting into it. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Anything else, Mr. Roog?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one last note. This does achieve in the strategic finance plan from the CRAs, just to bring it back to our overall plan, goal number 8, which is attracting new businesses. And so with that, Mayor, staff recommends approval of resolution number 24-39.
Thank you. We do have a card from the public. Craig Glover.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Good afternoon, all CRA board. My name's Craig Glover. I'm the owner of A Better Way Home Care. We were the first business to move into the Styx Promenade. Really honored to be there. Thankful, grateful for the CRA, the city, to help make that happen. And I'm here today to support Purdue in this idea, because I know a little bit about education in our community, especially poor communities. And the literacy rate is unbelievably low, unbelievably low. So I'm for anything that's going to help lift that up, and especially to invite someone who's so talented with so much passion. We needed that generations ago, and we have a chance to make that happen now. I also think about my own journey. My late wife and I started this business, and for my wife, I feel like I honor her every day. She would not mind me sharing this, but she was born in Alabama, moved to Brooklyn, Southern accent behind the school. And a teacher one day told her parents that she was too dumb to learn. So imagine hearing that. But then it was all about education. It was all about literacy, the ability to learn and enjoy learning. And then I get to meet her, and we get to create a family, and we build businesses. And we wouldn't be in this position without the excitement around literacy and education and learning. So I honor that, and I honor Purdue bringing that, because we need that in such a huge way to give more people a chance to dream and do the things that you propose happening in this community. So I am largely in favor of having you as my next neighbor, and I'm thankful for the work you do.
Okay, any other comments, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-39.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, so 7.2 is being continued. We'll now go to item 7.3. Resolution number 24-47, amending the agreement for lease, purchase, and sale of 314 Clematis Street with 314 Clematis Owners, LLC.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Chris Rugg, Executive Director, Community Redevelopment Agency. This is one that I've been working very closely with Brand Atlantic on as they move forward with this project at 314 Clematis Street. And this presentation will be pretty brief, as the amendment is a little bit of housekeeping and just ways to make it a little bit easier for Brand Atlantic to achieve the goals of the project.
Mayor, can I announce a conflict? I apologize. I tried doing that before Mr. Rugg started speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to get this in before it gets too deep into it. I do have a voting conflict. My wife's business has a business relationship with an affiliate of the applicant, so I will be recusing myself.
Okay, thank you for that disclosure.
So
Continue, Ms. Rugg.
Thank you, Mayor. My apologies, Commissioner Peduzzi. So I'll just do a quick overview of the project, just as a brief recap. Talk about the amendment. It only has about 4 changes to it, and then happy to take any questions from the board. But the cut sheet here sort of illustrates what is planned for the building. Very much F&B on the first and second floor, with some interesting design details on the front facade that will really sort of activate the street and achieve the goals of filling a very important part on the 300 block of Clematis Street. So just as a quick recap, it is between Dixie Highway and Olive Avenue on that 300 block. Just as a point of reference, you have City Hall that's to the west, and Drama Works that's to the east, and 314 is right in the middle of the heart of West Palm Beach. So we did a notice of disposition that was out for about 30 days, and we selected Brand Atlantic. It was approved on May 13th, 2024. And it was approved as a joint venture between Brand Atlantic and Blue Water Advisors. And as I mentioned, the first floor and the second floor is going to be really this great best in class with wonderful F&B that will bring people downtown. And Brand Atlantic is really sparing no expense with a healthy budget for the renovation of that space. And then ultimately it will be purchased from the CRA over that 5-year period as they activate it during that time. So real quick, the amendment to the lease, first off, is a clarification of commencement of construction. And this is important because the commencement of construction within the agreement really does start a clock for when they need to have the building completed. So that's why we wanted to make sure that that notice of, or that commencement of construction happened when they actually start the renovation of the building, not during demolition. So there's some clarification on that language that will be changed. Second is, as we were going through the discussions, as you know, their insurance is a tough item, and it is very expensive. And in order to keep the money going into the renovation of the budget and thinking through the insurance requirements, an insurance professional on the Brand Atlantic side really did recommend that once the improvements are made is when the insurance really needs to be put in place for the building. The CRA still owns it, so we have insurance on that. And so the insurance requirements that we put into the agreement will take effect at the time of certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion when the renovations are complete and the value has been added to the structure. Next, there is a lease that is in place with the Bank of America ATM machine. If you've walked by there, you've probably seen it. So all of the items associated with that lease, they will be assigned to Brand Atlantic so that they can maintain that and work with Bank of America moving forward. And then lastly, because these changes are needed, the possession date of when they will actually take ownership of that lease and they can start doing that work will happen once this amendment is fully executed, if approved by the board. So with that, we're still remaining consistent within the strategic finance plan with goal number 2 of making sure that this building is renovated. So staff recommends approval of resolution 2447. And we do have representatives from Brand Atlantic. Craig Monzio is here if the board has any questions. But that concludes my presentation, Mayor.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. Can you remind us the timeline, should we move forward today, for the build out? And I know things are probably tentative, but I guess what does the timeline look like?
Yes, so once commencement of construction happens, they have 4 months after building permit to commence that construction, or to commence construction once they pull the building permit. And then completion of construction is no later than 12 months after they commence the construction. So they plan to move expeditiously on the renovation of that building, and they've already been doing a tremendous amount of due diligence to date.
Any other questions, comments? Did we want to hear from the applicant? No questions? Okay, fine. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-47.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Peduzzi recusing himself. Okay, item 7.4, resolution number 24-49, authorizing a relocation and development assistance grant for the Best BBQ Inc. at 1020 North Tamarind Avenue for an amount not to exceed $30,000.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Robbie Sammy, Economic Development, here to put forth this grant proposal for the relocation and development assistance for the Best Barbecue. Today, real quick, I'll go over a refresher of this grant, the Relocation and Development Assistance Grant. We'll talk a little bit about the business, the Best Barbecue. I'll go over the relocation, the proposed site, all the improvements that have been made thus far, as well as the strategic goals achieved, and time for Q&A at the end. Before getting any further, I would like to mention that Darren and his wife are here with us. I would also like to mention that though I've been leading the charge here for the last quarter of this project, it's actually been Gina Baker, CRA project manager, who's had this project since inception. She couldn't be with us today, but just wanted to give credit where credit's due. Thank you. So the Relocation and Development Assistance Grant is available to businesses that are looking to come into the city of West Palm Beach, or they're looking to relocate for better suited spaces in West Palm Beach. This is kind of like our Swiss Army knife of grants. We're able to tailor this program a little bit better to the needs of the business because they may not be accommodated under other CRA programs. So this ensures that property development can continue, blight removal can continue, and we can re-merchandise vacated space that may have been sitting for quite some time. The terms are considered on a case-by-case basis. The terms of the Best Barbecue's grant proposal is financial assistance for the full interior build-out and purchase of commercial kitchen equipment, so they can have their restaurant. This amount, this grant amount is not to exceed $30,000. Mayor, I think you'll recall giving an award to Darren during the 4th of July weekend. He was the winner of the 2024 Barbecue Brews and Blues Food Contest, which may or may not be a surprise to many in the community. He's been serving the community for over 15 years. Currently, Darren operates out of a food truck at 919 North Tamarind Avenue, and so popularity and needs of the business have changed, allowing him to finally move into a brick and mortar right down the street, actually across the block, 1022 North Tamarind Avenue. This relocation will allow Darren to create a few more positions after he opens, have an expanded menu to include desserts and side dishes, and also have the option for dine-in seating for those wishing to do so. So if we take an overview of the current location, where he currently is that vacant lot to the bottom of your screen, 919 Tamarind, and as I mentioned, moving right down the road to 1020 North Tamarind. A lateral view gives you a better picture of what that move might look like, and before we panic at the condition of the building, it doesn't look like this anymore. The summary of improvements for this building, this is part of a greater project that actually took place during resolutions 33 and 34 in 2022 for the Hamburger Haven project. So this building, 1020 North Tamarind, has had a top to finish gut pretty much of new roof, new doors, new windows, exterior facade improvements, electrical, plumbing, I mean the works. There's also, the picture cuts it off, but to the end of that building is a little park, outdoor seating area where patrons can enjoy their food. Total investment of this project has been just a little over $1.9 million. The CRA contributed $470,000 in this project. And that is the night and day transformation of 1020 North Tamarind Avenue as it sits today. The building has received certificate of completion. We are just waiting for the CO for the park that again is cut off in the picture above. This meets a number of economic development strategic goals as well as the downtown city center CRA goals. Number 4, promoting the redevelopment of Tamarind's mixed-use areas and promoting business development in the neighborhood. Number 8, as well as for economic development 1.3.2, prioritizing minority-owned businesses, and 2.4.7.5, allowing those businesses to expand and retain them in the city of West Palm Beach. As such, staff recommends approving resolution 24-49. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions, comments, board members? Commissioner Fox and then Commissioner Warren and Commissioner Lambert.
Thank you so much. I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the CRA for all the hard work. We have been working together closely with Darren, and I am just so happy to see this day come. If any of you haven't tried the best barbecue, you are really in for a treat. Sometimes there's literally an hour wait, and so this will give him the opportunity to be open more days and more hours and to be able to fill the demand of not just the neighborhood, but people from all over who are coming for this tasty treat. So he asked me earlier if he was going to speak and what he should say. I said, well, the mayor will probably say it would be a lot easier for him to vote if we had some samples, but I don't think he brought any today, but luckily it looks like you had your chance over the 4th of July. But anyway, I'm just very happy and looking forward to continuing to support him. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say that I hold the Best Ribs and Darren directly accountable for the 10 pounds that I cannot lose because I cannot stay out of the line. And I just want to say that, Darren, I'm very happy to see this in front of me today. And my heart is full because I know what you've gone through and the different things that you've done, what you've endured, and how you've persevered. And to be able to see that this is the final step and this phase of this journey is very impactful to me. And a lot of people around this room may not know when I was starting my business and what a treat it was to me to go over to the corner and get my sandwich, and how you would make that sandwich so thick that it was shareable, and people would not know the struggle that was going on and how you helped to get through that. So I just want to say that this is something that, again, makes me extremely happy, and I hope to see more and more of this. I'm happy to see this happening for you. I believe that you have worked very hard to be in this place, you and your wife, and I'm happy again that we were able to come to a place of understanding with the CRA and the community, and to be able to push this forward. Congratulations.
Thank you. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you so much. I want to share in my support of this agenda item, and just am grateful to see this move forward today. I did have a question, and maybe it's more for Chris. It's interesting because on one of the slides towards the end, at the very bottom, you had very subtly seed, then growing roots, and then growing into a plant. And that is what prompted my question, is because in the slide right before that, there was a photo, and there's not a lot of greenery there. Now, I know Robbie mentioned the park next door, but I'm wondering if you can describe a little bit more about the park, because I don't want to lose sight of how important landscaping and greenery is for our neighborhoods, and especially if they're standing in line for a long time and they want to then maybe go enjoy it somewhere. I'd just like to know a little bit more about that park.
Absolutely, and we probably should have had a full-blown site plan on here, because it is not only is it a great public open space, but it is actually meant so that you can enjoy the food from both DeBest and Hamburger Haven. Oh, there it is. Awesome. Thanks, Robbie.
Great.
So this gives you an idea of the space. And Darren, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grill pit will be outside, so that, and that's intentional to allow the smoke to fill the air, because you know when the ribs are cooking, because it smells delicious. So the whole space is really meant to, obviously you can eat inside as well, but it was supposed to be a place where people could gather, and enjoy the ribs, of course, on a regular basis, but then also to add sort of a great public space, for the community that would also enhance the local businesses there, because people, love to enjoy the outdoor weather during certain times of the year. And it also sort of speaks to, Darren's roots initially, where, he would have that line outside his trailer, and sort of be able to, have a takeout window right there. You can see it. It's behind the porta potty, which will move eventually. But yeah, it's going to be a great public open space and a great enhancement to that overall corner that can be activated on a regular basis.
Great. Follow-up, Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. And so you did say this is a public open space, so is the CRA then responsible for the maintenance?
No, I'm sorry. So it's open space, but it is part of Kenny's property. Yeah.
Understood. Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. Chris, I wonder if you can give us an update on Hamburger Haven's opening.
Yes. So as Robbie had mentioned, Hamburger Haven, they do have a certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion from the building department. So now Kenny is essentially bringing in all of his equipment, all of his business items that's needed to actually operate the business. And so we don't have a firm date yet, but we expect Kenny to have a soft opening, hopefully by the end of this month. And then Ansley, our marketing manager for the CRA, is working with him on that grand opening. But it'll definitely be this fall, because Kenny is eager to get open and start getting the hamburgers back out on the street here soon. And then we also plan to do essentially a big ribbon cutting for the entire project, where we're going to invite the community out and have everybody, obviously sample the great cuisine that is coming out of Kenny and Darren's shop. So,
Did you say sample?
Yes.
You said it. Let the record reflect that I've not asked for anything yet. We haven't voted. Okay, any other Comments, questions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'm very happy to make a motion to approve resolution number 24-49.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. And let the record reflect that I did not ask for a sample before I voted, but now that I have voted, any samples would be much appreciated. All right, congratulations, congratulations. And commissioners, I hope you realize what we're doing here in terms of the vision for the city, creating community of opportunity for all, where we are opening the doors and providing opportunities for small businesses such as Rohan's Readery, the Best Barbecue, and others. I mean, this is part of what we are doing collectively, and it's great to see small businesses get an opportunity to pursue their dream. Thank you. Item 7.5, resolution number 24-40, adopting amendment number 20 to the Northwood Pleasant City Community Redevelopment Agency Strategic Finance Plan. Ms. Aponte.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm going to present Resolution 24-40, Strategic Finance Plan Amendment, along with Resolution 24-41F for the budget approval.
All right, do you want me to read into the record then?
Thank you.
7.6.
Yes,
That was your subtle hint, right? Okay, item 7.6, which we'll consider with one presentation. Resolution number 24-41F, adopting the final estimates of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing on October 1st, 2024, and ending on September 30th, 2025, for the Northwood Pleasant City District of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency.
Thank you, Mayor. So, as I say, I'm going to present together the Strategic Finance Plan Amendment for the Northwood Pleasant City and the budget proposed for the fiscal year 25 for the Northwood Pleasant City. This is a map of the area. This is the northern CRA district that the CRA Community Redevelopment Agency operates. And just to start, the main goals of the CRA are directed by Chapter 163 of the Florida Statutes and direct basically the removal and prevention of slum and blight through two means, and that's what we do all day long with the projects. We do improvements on the area's physical conditions to promote the redevelopment, and that's basically improvements on infrastructure, streetscape, transportation, safety, and that basically enhance the public realm and the livability of the community to then entice private developers to come in and invest in the areas, and that's for residential or commercial development. In the Northwood Pleasant City area, we have different type of interventions and focuses. For example, in the Broadway target area, we are focusing our efforts through this strategic plan and the next fiscal year budget on redevelopment projects that basically are directed to promote the construction of affordable housing through private-public partnerships. In this area, the CRA has acquired some properties and owns some properties, and the intention is to put out a solicitation to engage private developers to partner and construct new projects within this corridor that not only going to provide affordable housing, but will basically redevelop the corridor that is in their need of redevelopment. Different than we're doing on Broadway, or well, similar anyway, is the Northwood Village District or target area where the CRA has partnered already with two developers on the construction of new redevelopment projects, but also we are providing grants for the existing businesses within this district to improve the conditions of their properties, and again, with the effort to remove any slum and blight in the area and promote redevelopment. The current corridor, it's a little bit different. The private development has the initiative and has the resources to go in and produce the projects, so the efforts from the CRA are focusing on the construction of the Curry Park improvements that we have been supporting from the CRA on soft cost, and we are ready to depending on how the numbers come in once we receive the bids for the construction of the project, to maybe possibly engage some or support the construction of the park itself. The Pleasant City District, that is the last target area, are focusing our efforts right now on safety and security for the neighborhood. So it's like kind of the conditions of the neighborhood to promote the redevelopment. And along with that is also lighting projects that we have resources allocated for that. We're also promoting a PPP grants that are grants directed to existing residential property owners to improve the conditions of their particular residential houses. So having said that, with the general goals and presentations for the entire kind of that division of the strategic finance plan, I'm going to go now into more detail on the budget. We presented these in front of you in July, so I'm gonna kind of do a recap of this. But the numbers for this district have not substantially changed from what it was presented in July. So we have a total budget of $10.9 million that are coming from carry forward balance funds from last year, 3.8 million, and then new TIF revenues for the next fiscal year. One important note in this is the TIF revenue has increased 10% from last year, and that is to show that the northern area is getting more attraction and is getting more desirable, so the property values are being increased. In terms of the expenses that are being proposed, the project funding, it's 6.9 million, that is 63% of the total budget. And then we have 16% of the budget allocated to the payment of debt services for bonds that have been issued in previous years, and 5% or 4.5% for operating expenses, and we are also dedicating 6.5% for innovative policing strategies that we are engaging in partnership with the police department, and we have a 9% reserve funds in this year. This is an image that I like to put because it shows clearly how we distribute the funds in the entire district. So if you can see, kind of the large amount of funds are allocated to the Norwood Village, and this is primarily because the security that is provided in Norwood Village is 24/7 security, and it's to provide the adequate conditions in the area for the businesses to thrive. So that's the highest percentage of funding allocated, but we are also have a good 20% of the budget allocated for the Pleasant City neighborhood and 22% for the CRA Park. Broadway has a smaller amount, but as the redevelopment strategies on this corridor move along, the funds for that district will start to increase. So if we go target each of the target areas, the first one that I want to mention is the Pleasant City target area, where based on what it was presented in July, the only change that we did is additional funds have been allocated for landscape maintenance along within the neighborhood, but the majority of the funds are allocated basically for the security, the PSC contract. That was a pilot project last year, and it has received a good response from the neighborhood. The neighborhood is happy with the services that they're providing, have requested the services to be continued. So we kind of budget a full year of security for this, and we'll continue with that. In addition to that, the largest amount of fund is allocated to a lighting project that we had actually allocated last year, but we have not been able to work into it. So this year we're pursue engaging the professional services to identify where is the best location to start with the first lighting project within the neighborhood. And we know the neighborhood has several streets that need lighting, but you just want to identify which one is the one that is in more need, and also get feedback from the community for what they want to be the initial project for the light. For the CRA Park, as I mentioned before, the funds are primarily allocated for the support of the construction of the CRA Park, and these primarily the CRA has focused its resources on the soft cost for the design of the park, but as we move into construction, probably any leftover funding will be reallocated to the construction, and possibly in the near future, maybe some additional funds will be reallocated to it. For the Norwood Village target area, largest percentage of the fund, $320,000, is provided for marketing and activation, and we are starting a new or restarting a new series of activation and events in the village to promote the businesses and promote the projects that the CRA is doing within the area. The next event is actually September 20th. It's the Nights at Norwood, so we'd like to invite everybody. We're going to have music and entertainment, and the spruce will be showcased to present their project and promote the units that they're going to have in there. We also have over $1 million allocated for neighborhood stabilization that, as I mentioned, includes the majority of the funds are for the security that is provided, but also includes the maintenance of landscape, cleaning, the banners, the lighting that is provided, and all the elements that go along with this commercial district. And we have also $500,000 that are dedicated for the spruce. That is an agreement, a TIF agreement that the CRA entered into last year. So those funds that are already committed. For the industrial park area, this is the area that we have the least amount of funds dedicated, and basically just focus on trying to do a survey of the area to identify what businesses are in there and how we can promote them, and also some small amount for grants for new businesses. The Broadway target area, it's also an important area within this Norwood CRA. And we have been engaging on the planning process for redrafting the zoning and land development regulations. That process is expected to be concluded by the end of the year. And in the meantime, we are dedicating funding for security also, and there's additional funds that have been added since the July presentation for additional hours on the PSC contract for the security services provided. We also have property acquisition funding that was dedicated and is going to be used very shortly with some properties that the CRA already identified and that are using also the line of credit that was approved in last beginning of this year. And then we have other target areas where we have investment for kind of services that are provided throughout the different target areas, like the landscape and garbage maintenance that is provided in the entire district. We also have marketing and engagement services like the lighting and the holiday lighting that is provided in all the districts. So these funds are located in here. We have also the insurance that we need to cover for our properties, and some grant support for a seawall grant that the city was applying and was awarded. So these the CRA committed funds to support the matching for that grant. Those were funds that are currently allocated in this fiscal year but have not been used, so they're going to be moving forward. That is, in essence, the summary of the North End target area. It's basically, as I say, a $10.9 million budget. It's much smaller than the downtown district, but we see this district actually increasing its revenues very fast as new projects are coming along. We have 2 projects under construction with the Anchor side and the Spruce that will take 24 months until they finish, and then another year until they start paying the taxes, and the funds will be reflected in here. But that shows how the new development in this district is coming along, and new attractions and new redevelopment strategies. So it's moving very well, and we'll just have shining days ahead. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. On that slide there, you have the statement at the bottom, 78% of the funding goes to achieving CRA goals. What is the other 22%?
It's basically debt service, operating expenses, and the funding for reserves.
Okay, but one could argue that those are also consistent with the goals of this.
Yes, so the point was like they are directly to projects, basically, construction
All
of
right, we
projects.
might want to work on rephrasing that, because I would hate to create the perception that somehow money's going for reasons other than the CRA.
Of course.
Commissioner Warren?
Thank you very much, Anna. Can you talk a little bit more about what neighborhood stabilization is?
Yes, so what we consider neighborhood stabilization are funding that we allocate to safety and security, like the PSC contracts, any landscape maintenance that we do, any garbage pickup and collections that we do, that type of things. Mainly, those are the three major ones that we have as can we label neighborhood stabilization. If we do any repairs of if the lights get damaged and we need to fix the light pole, the banners for the poles, that type of things.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Lambert? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. It's great to just be reminded of all of the projects and all the ongoing things that we're doing in this CRA district. And I also wanted to comment on the neighborhood stabilization because I think I'm grateful that we are putting money towards that. And I think that the more that we can continue to prioritize that, the more that our projects will continue to flourish. Because as I was thinking about, the landscape, we can, and you were showing a beautiful picture there of Northwood Avenue, and it just so happened it was like at the right angle with all of the greenery, and it looks so welcoming. But it's interesting how you can plant 10 pieces of greenery, 10 bushes, but if you had equally the same number of piles of trash, how much that impacts a neighborhood and the feeling of value and worth that we have. And so I'm grateful that, garbage maintenance, safety is a priority within our budget as well. So thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I just have a question. Last year, I remember being CC'd on many emails from the Northwood business owners about the holiday lighting, and just because you mentioned it, I just wanted to check in and see, are we using a different company this year? I don't even know all the issues involved, but it's not the biggest line item I know in this budget, but it is an important one that's coming up soon, so I just want to make sure that whatever the issues were last year, that we are taking care of them.
Yes, we have a contract already in place for the holiday lighting, and this year, Mr. Rook, correct me if I'm wrong, the approach that we're going to take is we're going to bring the proposal for the lighting in front of the neighborhood for them to basically weigh in and agree or make suggestions. So we want to engage them from the beginning to be sure that what is going to be up is what they want.
All right, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-40.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-41F.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no. We have a card. Okay. Well, let's finish the vote, and then we'll have the card. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries. Michael Cleveland.
Good evening, Governor and Body. Lot 23 has never been profitable. Each year you pour money into that dwelling for some unknown reason. I understand you have art people there or used to be there, but it has never been profitable. I would ask that you, in the future, not devote monies to that project. Pleasant City is in need of a lot of streetscape work, curbs, asphalt, what have you. 10, 12 years ago, I requested that while on the CRA advisory, and has yet been completed. even looked at. Simply ask some of those dollars go toward that streetscape and curving and stuff like that. There's a couple places in Plain City curb is less than an inch. Curb is very important. That's where the water channels to the drains from. Also, I asked it, I don't know if it's possible or not, that the CRA advisory budget gets certified audit, starting from year maybe 2008. Because some funds have been misplaced, particularly $60,000. I requested several times that we had set aside for a project, and it disappeared. And I still have not been told what happened to it, because I voted for it, and I want to know what happened to it. Now, if I have to find out how a certified audit can be established, maybe it can, maybe it can't, but I would like to see it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Aponte, do you want to consider 7.7 and 7.8 together like we did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item 7.7, resolution number 24-42, adopting amendment number 19 to the Downtown City Center Community Redevelopment Agency Strategic Finance Plan. And item 7.8, resolution number 24-43F, adopting the final estimates of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year commencing on October 1st, 2024, and ending on September 30th, 2025, for the Downtown City Center District of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a presentation for the Strategic Finance Plan Amendment and the proposed budget for fiscal year 25 for the City Center Downtown CRA. So as I say in my previous presentation, the Downtown City Center CRA also follows the goals prescribed in Chapter 163 of the Florida Statutes, and basically direct the removal and prevention of slum and blight through two main projects. We do improvements of the area's physical conditions to promote redevelopment, and those are infrastructure, streetscape, and transportation safety improvements, and also redevelopment of private properties through projects and partnerships with private developers to promote the construction of residential and commercial development. In the downtown area, we have two main kind of distinct areas of intervention, of ways to promote the redevelopment of the whole area. One is the area that is the investment that is done in the Northwest neighborhood, that is includes investment in infrastructure improvements, like projects like the Tamarind Avenue or lighting projects that are done within the district, but also includes the construction of new projects, and this is the redevelopment of historic structures within the neighborhood. As the renovation of historic structures that are done directly by the CRA, because the private community does not conduct the investment by itself. So that's when the CRA steps in to do the investment to promote the redevelopment of the district. These are, we know, expensive projects, but are worth it to be done, because that is what it will preserve the neighborhood and allow us to achieve projects as the ones that you heard before, like the Hamburger Heaven or the Sticks Promenade projects. The private sector does not have the initiative to engage on those investments, so the CRA steps in. We also provide grants for property owners and for any businesses that are interested in locate in the neighborhood. That is specifically for the Northwest neighborhood. It's a little bit different than what we do in the rest of the downtown area. And in the rest of the downtown area, we focus primarily on the construction infrastructure, so enhancing the public realm, with projects like the Chase Street or the Okeechobee Boulevard that will be engaged in this year. And we also provide incentives directly to the developers for the provision of affordable housing or the attraction of businesses. In the downtown core, or the rest of the downtown district, is the private community has the incentive to go in by themselves and build the projects. So the CRA does not feel the necessity of building the projects. So it just engages in partnerships with those developers to do incentives to obtain certain benefits that are specific and needed. So it's two different approaches in this entire CRA, depending on the conditions of the areas. Based on these goals and these approaches, we have a proposed budget for this year that is $119 million. That includes $42 million on carry forward balance TIF funds. This number is a little bit higher than the one that was presented in the July, and the reason is because there are certain projects that we were expecting to have contracts signed already, but they have not. So the money has been or will be carried forward to the next fiscal year. And those projects that are in this category, for example, are the construction of Chase Street, where the money is currently allocated on this fiscal year. The contract is already signed with the construction company, but they are only in the first phase, so it's only allocated pre-construction contract. That is a small amount of the total contract, and the full construction management at risk contract will only be signed later this year, so the funds will have to be carried forward. And there are other projects within this budget that have similar situations, so that's why the carry forward balance is higher. But these are projects that basically fundings that are currently allocated to projects that are moving forward. It's just a matter of how fast the funds will be expended. We also have carry forward balance for the bond, the 2019 bond. That was actually reduced from the amount presented in July because there have been some expenses already accounted for. In addition to that, we have the TIF revenues for this year that were the same that were presented in the last, and then also investment earnings and lease payments from the properties that we own, for a total of $119,190,155 for this fiscal year, which is a very good budget. It has increased also. It's worth to note that TIF revenue has increased 8.74% from last year TIF revenue. In terms of the projected expenses for the proposed year, we are allocating the project funding, $83 million, so 70% of the budget is allocated to specific projects. So that means projects that are construction projects for private, for buildings itself, for infrastructure improvements, or for grants that are provided to private owners. And then we have debt service, 9.6%, and these are the bonds that we have issued in previous years, and we still continue paying. We also have the DDA work plan funding that is a 6.15%, and Tanika James is here with us today and will have a presentation for their DDA budget at the end. We have also tax increment financing, that these are commitments that the CRA has with private developments that are already built, and we have agreed to refund to them a percentage of the taxes that they have paid. So 5.3% are for these type of projects, and includes projects like, for example, the Grand that is already built. It's providing affordable housing, so part of that agreement we are giving some money back to that developer. It includes also $5.9 million for innovative policing. That also it's a partnership with the police department to provide security conditions in the area, and includes the security provided at the Clematis Street for the entertainment district, but also security within the Northwest neighborhood. We have operating expenses, 2.9%, and we have reserve funds, a small amount. And when we talk about the distribution of the funds by target area, this is clear that the largest amount of funds are going to the Northwest District, and this is because what I mentioned at the beginning, that the Northwest neighborhood is the one that needs the largest investment due to the fact that the private enterprises are not directly going and investing in the neighborhood yet. So the CRA has to fill that void in the meantime. We also are allocating a substantial amount of resources in the downtown core, and then it goes to Clear Lake and Okeechobee Corridor, and these three areas primarily are with infrastructure projects. So if we start with the historic Northwest, the majority of the projects in these are, as I say, construction projects. And as we were talking earlier, they are in different stages of development. So we have projects like the Sunset Lounge, that the construction of the project is complete. And at this point, we are moving ahead to finish the interior of the project. So that has resources allocated, and they will be pretty soon used for the finishes of all the interiors of the projects. We have the sticks, that is the one that we just mentioned. The project is primarily complete. We just have a small amount of money for the last things that need to be done. Like there were some things that need to be adjusted with the dumpster, so we need to do that before the project could be declared fully complete and done. We have other projects like the 719 North Sabadilla that has $1.3 million allocated. In addition to what the budget is right now for that project, is a project that is currently under construction. So actually the picture that you see on the bottom of the screen is just when they started the project and the demolition. But if you drive by Sabadilla and 7, you can see that the new walls are already up and it's going pretty fast. We have other projects that are on the design phase, or they have completed the design phase and they are now under building permit review, like the 1031 North Sabadilla. That is a historic house that is proposed to be renovated. It was originally a single-family house. It's going to be converted in 2 units that are going to be rented as an affordable unit. So we are looking, in this case, we're looking for partners in the, for how we're going to dispose of these properties once the renovation is completed. We have other, this is the rendering for the 800 North Tamarind that is in the design phase. It's very close to be submitted for formal site plan review and starting the process of doing all the approval and building permit process. And then, but it has the money already allocated for the construction. Yes, those are under design development, and there are other ones that are, for example, 16 Douglas that you approved the notice of disposition a couple of months ago, and we are working now with Neighborhood Renaissance to get to a contract and partnering with them on the renovation of this project, but there are funds allocated to it. So depending on how the projects evolve, the funds could be moved afterwards. We have also infrastructure projects like the Tamarind Avenue, that phase 1 and 2 are very close to completion, and then we'll have to identify the process for moving ahead with the phase 3. We have other projects like the operation of the operation and openings of the Sunset Lounge, the Sticks operation. Also now the project, we were not able to sell all the Sticks properties, so 2 of them remain under CRA control, so we have to maintain in there the operations of that and the maintenance of those properties, so those are the funding. We have under neighborhood stabilization, the PSC, we have added from the July agenda, we have added additional funding for an extra security officer at the Sticks Promenade. And then we also have business development and incentive grants that includes improvements to the parking lots of the church owns and other incentives for business owners, and also some funding for property acquisition. For the downtown core area, we have primarily infrastructure projects. The 2 more important that are new projects in this year are the 415 Clematis, that is the renovation of the old photographic center that will be retrofitted for retail space, and also the Great Lawn Play Art Connect project that will introduce a play area and art and cafe in the waterfront. So those are 2 projects that in the last fiscal year were just starting, and now we are allocating money for construction. Big changes in this from what was presented at the July meeting is in the transportation category. We increase funding to provide support for the purchase of vehicles for the West Palm Beach Ride. So the CRA committed $2 million for the provision of the services of the purchase of the vehicles. We had already committed $2.3 million to the operation of the services of the current stopgap and the future operation. So that's a big change from the July meeting. Other target areas are definitely centered into infrastructure improvements. The Okeechobee Corridor target area is the proposed funding for the retrofit of Okeechobee Boulevard in partnership with the FDOT. So this includes the funding that the city had to allocate, or the CRA had to allocate to cover the difference between the improvements that FDOT was originally proposing and the suggestions that the CRA and the city made to FDOT, and they accepted. So we're working on that, so that's funding for that. Then we have, for the Brasford Park, Providencia Park area, we have the funding allocated for the Railroad Avenue streetscape that is already moving forward, and this includes the money that, the funding that was proposed to be reassigned in the fund, the bond fund from the NCAT to the Railroad Avenue streetscape, because they are going ahead of schedule. So we have in this year substantial amount of money that will be dedicated to pay for these improvements once they are completed and they meet the required deadlines. For the Clear Lake target area, again, another infrastructure project. So it's the funding allocated in this target area is related to the acquisition of land for the construction of Fern Street extension, $7 million, and also design fees for the project. And under other target areas, we have funding allocated for the downtown master plan update. The previous presentation allocated $250,000. We actually added $100,000 to get closer to the number that that is being estimated for the update. But we are going to have a more realistic number once the bids or the RFQs for the update come in. And we expect probably that we will need additional funding that we'll have to reallocate, most likely from the professional services that we have in this target area, also to cover the expenses and maybe divide it into 2 phases. We also have property maintenance, insurance, and also the Banyan Streetscape that still has some funding allocated, but the second phase, so it's going to have to be reworked with the new prices. That concludes the budget for the downtown. As I say, the majority of the funding is dedicated for the projects, the construction of the projects, $83 million, and it has a total budget of $119 million. That concludes the staff presentation. And Tanika is here to present.
For the DDA presents, any questions for Ms. Aponte, Commissioner Fox?
First, thank you so much for all that you've done to put us in such a good spot. I know this was not originally your position to be managing the CFO role, and you have done an incredible job. I know it wasn't easy to be balancing both positions, and I'm very sorry to see you leave, but I know that you'll just be around the corner upstairs or downstairs or wherever. But my question is about Okeechobee, the project. I am very happy that we were able to work with FDOT on, adding to the project. I think it's going to mean a lot that there's more space for bikers and pedestrians and things in the plans that we have. But I haven't heard about it in a long time, and I don't want it to sneak up on our residents that suddenly Okeechobee is going to be closed for a good amount of time. So I'm curious if you have heard anything more about the timeline. I mean, considering we're keeping it in the budget for next year, does that mean it's actually going to be going forward next year? Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner. I believe, if my timing is right, I think they are letting the project out the first quarter next year. That means like issuing the project for bid. So it will take some time until construction start. I think it's only 26, but I can verify the timeline with them and give you an update on that.
Thank you. That would be great.
Commissioner Warren?
Thank you. It's been rewarding to see the Northwest neighborhood inch its way up towards the top of the priority list as it relates to the projects that have been happening in our CRA. I know that this is key for us to achieve the goals set in the downtown master plan. So it's good to see that as this is occurring, we're seeing businesses benefiting, like Reverend Allen or Rose Trolley and Darren Rouse from The Best Ribs and others that are integral in this momentum. On slide number 11 for the property at 1031 Sapodilla, you said that that's a rental that's going to be, that we're looking for rental, or are we looking for home ownership for?
We are, right now, the drawings are under building permit. We are exploring partnerships for the construction if possible, and then the intention is to sell it, but with some restrictions for affordable housing.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we hear from the DDA? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fonte.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Tanika James Fayman with the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority. Let's see. Just a quick overview of our agenda, budget process, prioritizing our outcomes, the interlocal agreement with our work plan pillars, millage rate considerations, and then overall budget discussion. This is just an outline of our process from our timeline for budget. We presented in July with our preliminary information and numbers, refined our budget, and then here again to present to the board. Again, just our overall timeline, October through December begins our new budget year. Our audit process begins as well, receiving the disbursement from the tax collector, paying our TIF to the CRA, and then receiving that reimbursement for the second bill. Just a quick overview of how we operate our budget on operations from July to September, 1.3 million. Our fiscal year ends and we begin our new fiscal year, October through November. We have to make that very large payment to the TIF, and then we begin to receive our tax disbursement that comes in. Some of the budget considerations as we're going to this fiscal year is clearly adaptable changes in our downtown area, the needs of our community, collaborating efforts with our businesses, residents, city, and the CRA, and the expanding impact of some of the new initiatives. When I'm talking about the needs of our community, it's not only just our residents, but our tourists and our commercial businesses that are in the downtown as well. Some of the additional budget considerations, and I know from our last meeting, one of the conversations was a presentation with Jennifer Ferriero for the homeless outreach team. I was able to make up and move some numbers around, so we will continue to support the outreach team this year, $150,000. We have renewed our agreement with the police department for the additional overtime hours in the downtown area of $600,000, and then clearly working on our transportation with the circuit. Some of the things that we learned from our data research is our physical environment is definitely key in the attraction of not only the people that want to visit, but the people that want to live here and open up their businesses in the downtown area. Cleanliness and aesthetics are key, absolutely, definitely matter. The business mix is something I think it's important, and it's something that we're working on over the next couple months in regards to having that balance of retail and restaurant businesses. And then another opportunity is the events and activations are definitely a draw for people to want to, again, open their business here, visit, and live here. Some of the cons, as always, parking is at the top. I would like to say that parking has always been at the top of our saver data from the beginning since I started doing surveys at the DDA. I think it's a perception. I think clear communication about some of those opportunities and those costs will be very helpful, and that's something that we're going to be looking to do and work with the city on in the next next year. Traffic, lack of family-friendly destinations, and then clearly the perception of safety. In our survey data, top things that we discussed was the importance of the public realm maintenance, and then our district services, and then on a second tier right below that was business development and marketing. It's still important, but not as significant as the public realm itself. These are the 4 pillars that we focus on: district services and operations, our public realm programs, business development, and marketing and public relations. Some of the target priorities that we have, branding who we are, what we do, focusing on clean and safe and additional beautification, our transportation opportunities, again, community outreach and safety with our homeless outreach, and then those projects, those placemaking programs and activations. The DDA value did, from our preliminary numbers in July, went down just a little bit, not a whole lot. So there's a little bit of it, there's an increase of 10% versus our previous fiscal year. And so that's the new construction in our value right now for 23-24. This is our DDA millage rate and how we've reduced our millage rate over the last 2 years, from 2022 going to 0.98, and then 2023 going to 0.97, and then staying static this upcoming fiscal year. This is our overall budget versus previous year versus this year. We're anticipating, or we'll be expecting, a 4.5% increase. Some of our expenditures over the last 5 years, as you can see, we had to do a little bit of restructure because of the pandemic, but most notably, you'll see that district services, because of our recent agreement with Block by Block, has definitely enhanced what we're doing with our public realm and district services. Again, focusing on district services and operations, this is just the clean and safe of our programs in our downtown. That's the lighting, that's the beautification, that's the safety, that's wayfinding, so many things that are focused on district services. Some of the challenges that we've taken into consideration are rising costs, the intensive use of our public spaces, increasing scope of work, and then just the nature of a 24-hour downtown area. This is the breakdown of district services and operations, and as you can see, the Downtown Clean team, which I know hopefully you all have seen, have been out and about, and I'm also very excited to announce that our pressure washing has officially launched on September 1st. I know it's been a little rainy over the last couple days, but you will be seeing them out in the downtown area. I think I want to say almost 7 days a week now. Yes, Catherine's that's my 64%. She's very excited about that, and so are we to see that happen in the downtown area. Our public realm programs, these are the things that connect our residents, our visitors, and workers in the downtown. It's the chess park, those are the activations. It's just creating a sense of place for our downtown community. Some of the things that we consider for challenges, again, rising costs, the needs of our community, social issues, and then transportation. How do we move all of these people around once they get into our downtown area? This is the breakdown of our public realm programs. Again, as you can see, our ambassador program is the largest portion of this budget. And then you can see also in the community outreach and safety, that has increased by the 150 to include the outreach funding for the homeless outreach team with Jennifer Farrell's team. Business development is focused on our infrastructure. It's focused on our incentive programs, the ribbon cuttings, leasehold improvements. Some of the challenges we've experienced with this have been we've got older buildings, they're very large spaces, we've got rising rents, increasing construction costs, parking and traffic always is a concern or a comment, and then clearly I believe a lot of these things are perception issues. A lot of the negative comments that we received, or cons, I don't want to say negative comments, are always about a perception and how we communicate what we're doing and how we're doing it better. So this is the breakdown of business development. As you can see, the largest portion is focused on our property incentives, which are physical leasehold improvements, and then the exterior improvements that we're doing on the buildings, making sure that they're aesthetically enhanced for our downtown area. Marketing and public relations, this is where we're kind of bragging a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how we do it for the city, for downtown West Palm Beach, and focusing a lot on our social communications. Some of the challenges for this is, again, cost of how much it costs to advertise, but then again, perception. A lot of it has to do with perception and combating that perception thought process. This is the breakdown for our marketing and public relations. A large part of that is advertising, focused heavily on social, and then secondary, TV, and then lastly, radio. And this is just based off of our market survey data. Professional services, studies and surveys, which is really important. As I mentioned, we do a lot of surveys and data that help us determine how we're funding, how people think about the downtown, how much money they're spending in the downtown, the duration that they spend, that helps us be able to program and focus on what we need to do as an organization. Operations, this is just the functionality. Biggest portion of this budget is our rent, and then we also experienced a little bit of an increase in our insurance this year. This is our overall budget this year, and the operations also includes the personnel for our team. So our budget this year would be a little over $10 million. And this is probably my favorite part, is focus on 64% is our public realm and district services for the downtown area. What's next and what's to come? Increased pressure washing. Our safety ambassadors launch on October 1. Very excited to have them down here. Human library, collaboration with the library as well, a night market, more trees in the downtown area, increased police presence, enhanced holiday lighting, an augmented reality experience that we're going to launch in 2025, Wake Up West Palm, which is our local little TV that allows us to showcase the downtown, our partners and stakeholders, enhanced chess park furniture that actually arrived today, so you all will be seeing that shortly once it's assembled. Fantastical Walk that we're collaborating with the city on as well. Lunar Lantern Festival, Black Art Matters, Fall in Love, Downtown West Palm Beach, Sunset Sweat, Motivational Mondays, Let's Five, Sunside Silent Disco. Sorry, it's a lot in a slide, but those are all the new projects that are coming in the downtown right now. And this is just a little snippet, but thank you. I don't know if there's any questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. Questions, comments, Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. First, I want to say I get so many compliments on the green team. I mean, people are loving them. Everywhere I go, I hear from residents, it's so nice to have some good feedback like that. I see them at 7 a.m. on Sundays. I see them all the time. I think having the carts is especially nice because people can easily associate that they are the clean team and not just with shirts, but you could see the carts, you could see them from a mile away. So very happy with them. My question was going to be about the merchant incentives. It looked like it was a pretty big number. Sometimes I get, people always have ideas about what clematis could be. And I remember many years ago, I was a marketing person at City Place, and this is not apples to apples because it was one owner versus the many owners on Clematis Street. But, they had somebody at City Place that would go all over the country looking for properties, merchants that would fit into their plan, that they had kind of an idea of what they wanted, and they would find somebody that would be successful. And I know that we have many owners on Clematis, so it's not as easy as that. But I think, why wouldn't many of the owners, if we just handed them a merchant that could pay, the rent and was someone that we thought would be a good fit and to be successful, why wouldn't the property owners be okay with us kind of doing the work on that? So I guess my question is if you've ever tried anything like that. I saw the merchant incentives bucket look like it was a pretty big number. And so, I'm just curious if there's any other ideas that you've had about sort of how we could go about looking for tenants in a new way than we have before to make sure that we have, a thriving kind of living room of our city.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. We recently just did a study of the downtown area with Cushman & Wakefield in regards to the merchandise mix that we have currently. They did identify some potential businesses that would be of interest for us to have, but it essentially does come down to the property owner, deciding whether that's a great fit for their space and if they can pay that rent. We don't do rental assistance. We do leasehold improvements, so it's infrastructure, so it stays physically with the building. We are getting ready to pull together a large group of property owners and our brokers in the downtown. I'm actually working with Tom in the mayor's office to help pull that list together to have that larger conversation about where we're at right now and where we'd like to be with the type of tenants and businesses in the downtown area. So that is in the works.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you so much for the presentation. And, that was interesting, those last few slides where you're listing on and on the number of programs, and two observations that I had. The first is thank you for the inclusion of a variety of different types of events that attract different individuals on all different backgrounds and interests, and I just think that that's what makes and continues to make our downtown vibrant and special. The second is that the second observation I made was actually that the first slide had those items that we had just discussed that were a priority of our CRA as well, which is public safety, landscaping, and trash pickup, and just making sure that we have a beautiful area that we're investing all of this other time and resources into. And so I just want to say thank you to the DDA for prioritizing that as well.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-42.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing opposition, motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fox?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 24-43F.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Aponte.
Mayor, I want, before now that we concluded the approval of the budget, I just want to say thank you to the finance department. That was really fundamental to get us through this. As you know, we were without a fiscal manager, so we were not numbers people, and they were very, very helpful and very patient with us, getting us through this. And thank you also for the board. Today is my last day as the Deputy CRA Director, so as I'm going to be moving to the Development Services Department, but I just really want to say thank you for all your support. You have a great team in the CRA. The people are really committed to making the city great, so it's wonderful. I had a great experience, and I'm looking forward to continue working with them from the Development Services Department.
Well, I certainly want to echo previous comments made about thanking you for your service. You had to wear probably a few more hats than you expected to wear when you first accepted this position, but you comported yourself admirably, so we thank you, and it's good to have you still on Team WPB, just in another department. So thanks for all you've done.
Thank you.
Give her a round of applause. Mr. Rugg?
Yeah, Mayor.
Gave you a demotion.
I'm sorry?
I almost gave you a demotion. I called you
Oh.
Commissioner.
I just wanted to take a moment to personally thank, in front of everybody, Anna Maria Ponte over the last 2 years. It's been a real pleasure working with you. You've been a wonderful colleague and a great friend through what has been a great 2 years. So I just want to thank you so much for all the time that we got to spend together. And yes, I know you're not going far, but just wanted to publicly show my appreciation for all that you did. And I can't wait to see what you do over at Development Services. So
Thank you very
thanks so much.
Okay, if that's it, that's the last item on the agenda. So the CRA meeting is hereby adjourned. And we'll reconvene as the City Commission at 5 p.m.